No, absolutely not. No. That's what society's been telling us men for decades about romance. No, that's not for you. You aren't allowed to have it. It's not yours, and if you take it, you're a loser. All these things have been said to us. So, no straight man trying to be taken seriously in life has an easy time admitting that romance stories are anywhere near one of their favorite things. And it's honestly easier for some of these men to admit to felony crimes than for them to admit they actually like this romance story they swear they're into for some other reason. But if you take a step back and look at how people see romance-consuming men, their reluctance kind of makes sense. There's like two ways you could really end up looking. You either end up looking like the sassy, zesty man talking about spilling tea and how a strong, attractive man did something to excite the audience and that female lead. Or, even worse, if you're just not sociable enough, you end up looking like one of those sad sacks who can't get actual play, so you watch seasonal romance slop and insert yourself into different 2K generic characters while a studio spends $500,000 to make a 12-episode imaginary situationship for their viewers. But hey, you know what? I don't think you're either of those people. Not really. I get this stereotype, but I just have a little more faith in all of us than saying that we are all just those two categories. Now, I can't tell you why you like romance because I'm not in the room with you. Shit, I don't even know if the video's title even applies to you. You actually might just be in it because the concept is foreign and alien to you, and the act of romantic pursuit is much like watching dolphins at SeaWorld or something. Or you might even stealthily be one of the two categories of romance men I mentioned earlier. I'm not really here to judge either way. That's between you, your reading history, and whatever god you may or may not believe in. But the issue is, I feel like a lot of you don't like being ridiculed for what you do in your spare time. And if you play your cards wrong, divulging your critical info that you like romantic stories, that's where you could land in people's heads. So what do you do when you want to talk about it? Well, there's always the option of just never talking about your interests and keeping it bottled up until the end of your lifetime. You can vault your secret love story opinions behind an anonymous letterbox account accessed strictly through a proxy server in Vietnam. Now, just a side note, proxy server, unsponsored. I don't got a sponsor yet, but any VPN ad out there listening, please sponsor me. I really need a new microphone. But if we're being real, you're probably too lazy to do all that bullshit just to talk about your love stories. But also, you just need to let it out to somebody. It's just human nature. We're blabbermouths. And especially if you got romantic tendencies, I know you love gossip. I know you probably want to recommend these love stories to somebody. You know that they'll love it and think it's 10 out of 10, peak fiction, raw, go kino, whatever the fuck. But there's one problem with that, disclosing how you know a random deep cut with about 20k people that watch it could potentially be devastating to your reputation if you don't get the proper prerequisites out there. It's embarrassing to recommend romantic stuff to anybody if you're still dealing with that stigma, even though you're not that. So, what are you? Well, actually, that's the first step to not looking like a social anomaly. Because at the end of the days are just assumptions, and if you can get ahead of those, you'll be good. And anyway, I don't know the main reason you're scared to talk about this stuff. You think the hoes are gonna laugh at you, and while that might be true, you might scare some of them away. You gotta keep in mind, the meta is shifting for us men. It's not as crazy anymore. It's cool to be a little fruity now. Every gender got TikTok installed anyway, so just talk about it in a way that's normal, and you'll be fine. But I'm not stupid. I know some of you are genetic freaks, so you're absolutely not normal about these things. And if word got out, you'd be completely fucked. So, just do yourself a favor and just disguise that shit. You don't gotta go all the way down, but just hide your power level so you don't get sensed by their scouters as being an anomaly. See, you can divulge the general interest and, even let them in with some lower level pieces of the sunken place. But you gotta be mindful. Don't let them notice a clear trend marking your exact fantasies in the stories you read. I know you think you're slick if you're hiding this, but you're not. So if you do indulge in this depravity, just make sure to throw off the stench. Mention things that aren't related to your shit, and for the love of God, please, if you discuss these things, make sure not to just bring up just anime. Please bring up just some Love Alarm or Twinkling Watermelon, something else. Please just cover your tracks better. But at the end of the day, it's fine, like what you like, just don't be weird about it, don't set up any alarms, and just let the girly pop soul within you flourish, and I'm sure you'll be fine. And if not, it's not my fault you're fucking weird.